This right here is a McLaren 720S in MSO blue, and it's about to undergo the most obsessive prep because why? Well, we're gonna be laying down a full body paint protection film wrap and our ceramic coatings, so we need to make sure that there's no contamination and no dust or dirt in any cracks or crevices. And this part of the 720S series is going to be all about the prep work, prepping not only the vehicle, but prepping our paint protection film, getting the patterns plotted, getting everything dialed in so that we are ready to start laying our protection and our ceramic coatings. So we're going to be going through and taking you guys through the whole process of getting this thing decontaminated, getting it prepped for PPF and how that works and how that differs from doing just a normal kind of standard prep process, and making sure we get every crack and crevice, every vent, every door panel edge, everything super dialed in so that we're not having any contamination end up in our film install and we can get the best quality job. So let's get it outside and give you guys a full rundown of the whole process. So the first step of the process is, as always, wheels first. One thing about these is these are a carbon ceramic brake system, so we're typically not dealing with a huge amount of brake dust, but we are still prepping these wheels for possibly doing a ceramic coating later, so we do want to get them perfectly clean and get them decontaminated. So we're still going to be reaching for our wheel cleaner, so we're going to go with our wheel cleaner to remove any iron particles that may have gotten onto the wheels, not necessarily from its own brake system, but from just daily driving down the road. Just like it would pick up on your paint, it can still pick up on the wheels even if they're carbon ceramics. We're going to go through with our tire cleaner on the tires. That's going to be diluted our standard 2:1. And then we've got our clean APC to really just flush out those wheel wells, get that all degreased, get the dirt and grime breaking down in those wheel wells, and be able to get it rinsed out so we have a clean wheel well surface. This is actually really important for when we're doing the paint protection film, because if there's any dirt or grease or grime in those wheel wells, it can actually run down during the install to the edges, and then you end up with dirt and things like that in the edge of your PPF around those wheel well areas. I've got my wheel bucket filled up with our Decon soap and all of our miscellaneous tools that we use from the detail factory, as well as some of the wheel mitts and things that we carry ourselves. We're going to go through and basically just get everything sprayed onto the wheels themselves, let it start breaking down all of that dirt, grime, brake dust, things of that nature. We're gonna foam over that with our Decon soap, really to just give us a nice base for cleaning, give us some lubrication and as well extra cleaning power. Go through with all of our different brushes, make sure we're getting into the barrels of the wheels really, really well, getting behind the spokes, getting these spokes themselves into lug nut areas, really, scrubbing the tires, and again, flushing out those wheel wells to really get a nice deep clean on all these wheels and get them prepped for the ceramic coatings that will come later in the series. Now we're moving on to the decontamination wash, which you guys have seen us do a lot here on this channel, so it's just kind of standard practice. Basically just gonna go through and give it a nice rinse down, get any loose dirt and grime off the surface. Again, this McLaren isn't super dirty for us right now, so we're working with a pretty clean surface, but the decontamination process is really about stripping the surface and getting any embedded contamination out. So we're gonna go through with our 2-bucket contact wash with our Decon soap in the bucket, as well as Decon soap in our foam cannon, going through, foaming that on, giving it some time to dwell, and then doing your standard 2-bucket wash over the whole vehicle, starting top to bottom, following your proper washing practices. As always, I like to leave your really dirty areas for last. So your rocker panels, your front and rear bumpers. More specifically on this thing, we've got a carbon diffuser that goes way up under the car. And there's just really a lot of cracks and crevices and areas that a lot of times a regular car wash you wouldn't get into. Getting into some of the air vents and the doors and things like that you really got to kind of stuff your whole arm into to even get to. This prep process needs to be done really well and really thorough because the following steps need a clean base. Once we're done with the 2-bucket wash, we're left with just a car full of soap suds. We're gonna go ahead and give that a nice rinse down, get all that soap and the suspended dirt and grime rinsed off the vehicle. So now we're really getting into the really important part of prepping for a paint protection film and ceramic coatings in general, which is your true decontamination steps. That's going to consist of using our iron remover and a clay bar or synthetic clay media to decontaminate the surface, getting any iron particles removed from the paintwork and just any embedded fallout or contamination that would leave the surface rough, because if any of that is still on the surface during our paint protection film installation, you're going to see those specks and they're going to look like dirt specks that are under the film, which is not what we want, especially on as premium as a car as this. We want a perfectly clean install, so the prep steps are what makes that install happen. So now is the time where we're cleaning cracks, crevices. Every square inch that you wouldn't think of needs to be cleaned, because we're gonna be paint protection filming every square inch of the car. So for my process, this entails basically taking a detail brush and just scrubbing and brushing out every crack and crevice, making sure that you're going panel by panel and just brushing out every crack and crevice, anything you can reach with that brush. Anywhere that you didn't get your wash mitt, use that brush and brush it out. Then after that, you're gonna be taking your pressure washer. Now, you need to be careful here. You don't wanna be using some crazy high PSI pressure washer or a low degree nozzle. So we're using around 1,000 PSI pressure washer with a 40-degree nozzle. And we're gonna be flushing out very close, very tight, every crack and crevice, every seal. We're gonna be putting that pressure washer a couple inches away, turning the fan spray pattern to follow that crack and crevice, and really just flushing and pressure washing out every crack and crevice. So there we go. Now we are actually finally done with the full prep process that needs to be done for our paint protection film installation. So now we're just pulling it all in. We're gonna get it all dried up. We're gonna blow it off with our blowers. And now we're gonna be able to get into prepping our paint protection film patterns and getting those plotted out so that we're ready to start laying down some film on this car in the next video. Now the McLaren 720S is all prepped up, and I know some of you guys might be asking, hey, you guys aren't gonna polish the car. Fortunately for us, the car was actually polished right before it was brought to us by the owner. So it's actually ready to go. All we had to do was just do that final decontamination and cleaning of the vehicle so we can go into the paint protection film. So the car is ready for us now at this point. So we're gonna bring you guys into the office and we're gonna show you guys how we're gonna go about making the patterns for the vehicle, because we are gonna be using a pre-cut system on a lot of these panels and modifying them to our taste, and then show you guys the plotting aspect on how that works. So here we are in our paint protection film cutting software. So like we said before, we're gonna be using some form of pre-cut patterns. This is a software called Core, which is made by Eastman, who also makes Suntech and Lumar films, but they have their own cutting software, and it's one of the best in my opinion. They have really good patterns. So we're just gonna load up the vehicle that we have, which is a 2022 McLaren 720S. It's a base and it is a spider version. So there we go. It brings up all of our different options. You have different, ones from different markets. Obviously ours is from the USA. So we're gonna click that. And then it gives us basically all of the individual cutouts for the car, as you can see here on the left side. I've already gone through and spent about an hour and a half going through and editing these patterns to get them in nice, easy to cut sections as well as customized sections. So these are all the individual pieces here that I've kind of made up and labeled, and you can also see them over here. So I can go to these individual things and you can see, this is the hood, fender, a bunch of different trim pieces. On this one we have all of the door sections, so you can see as a paint protection film installer, you end up looking at the car and not as a whole car, but as individual parts and pieces. And on this car, there's over 200 pieces of film that we'll end up getting on this car. things like the rear diffuser and things like that. So I've gone through and edited these patterns, and what that means is basically if you leave these patterns standard, they're gonna go right to the edge of any sort of panel. Sometimes they're wrapped a little bit, just depends on who made that specific pattern. But what I do a lot of times is what I call modifying or blowing out patterns or editing patterns. So in this case, on this hood and these fenders, I did what I call blow out the pattern. So you're basically extending every edge about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. That gives you enough film to be able to install, and I can nest it in these kind of cut sections, so I'm not just wasting a ton of film for one piece. I can still fit in a lot of these extra little pieces around, but I have enough film to be able to wrap the edges and tuck the edges and cut the corners without being limited by the pattern stopping at the edge. So we just get a really, really clean install, and that's kind of the wave of paint protection and film is getting to where it needs to be more and more invisible. Customers are demanding better and better installs, so this is really what the market is leaning towards, and that's really what I specialize in and what our company specializes in, is doing these customized installations. And then there's some pieces where, like the headlights, I'm not really editing as much. Those might go right to the edge, but they're going to be installed really, really well and just in a clean manner. So again, a lot of these are just edited to the way I like them, extending the edges, blowing out where needed, so that I can wrap the edges where I want to and really just get a super clean install. So this kind of gives you a look behind the scenes of what this looks like. And then in this piece here, I can actually pull it up. The front bumper pattern is one that I'm not too happy with, so I can pull this up here, and you can see there's a seam here on the lower bumper. That's not gonna fly with me, that's not gonna fly with the customer. So what I did is gave me enough room here. This is some of the lower pieces of the bumper that we are going to use, and then I left all this empty space here, which is enough for me to do a bulk installation of film. So I'm going to use all this dead space to bulk it, and what that means is basically just using a square sheet of film, manually stretching it on the car, cutting it out, and that's what you're bulking it with this a bulk sheet, and you're not using these kind of pre-cut templates. So we're going to show you kind of a bit of everything, and and standard patterns, some of our modified patterns, and bulking it on this vehicle. So it'll be a really cool process. So now that we've got these all ready, like I said, this already took me a couple hours. Now we're going to go to the plotter, and we're going to show you guys how to actually get this cut out onto a piece of film, and that can be ready for us to install. So we'll see you guys at the plotter. Alrighty, so now we have our film loaded up on the plotter. We're cutting everything off of a large 60-inch roll. Just makes the most sense to be able to, kind of have everything in one plot. So I've got my pattern that I'm going to cut pulled up. This is just all the door patterns, so you can see all the individual pieces. So that is basically what this machine is going to cut. The software tells me that I need 115 inches of material that it's going to cut from, so I like to roll that out and just make sure it all rolls smoothly and it doesn't start shifting around. So I'll roll out my 115 inches, make sure it rolls smoothly and all good, and if it starts to shift or anything, I'll correct that and fix it. But once we do that, we'll be able to just click plot, and then we can kind of just watch this do its thing. So we're all good. I've got my 120 inches rolled out, no problems, rolled smoothly. So now we're ready to click the big red button here and get it going. So just click that button there. It sends it to the plotter through the cord. Machine knows what to do, and it'll start cutting. And you'll basically be able to just kind of watch this thing go around and cut. I like to just keep my finger on the stop button. That way, if anything happens, I can stop it instantly and make sure it doesn't ruin the whole piece of material. And you just kind of sit here and watch it and make sure it does everything perfectly. Doesn't kink up, doesn't mess up the plot or anything like that. So you just kind of watch it as it goes. And now that we have the film all cut, rolling it up into a nice roll here. And then we are going to transfer that onto our weeding table. So we have a couple black tables here set up that we're going to use to basically weed the film out. And a lot of people will probably be like, what the heck is weeding film? And basically what that means is removing the excess film that you don't need and leaving only the film that you're going to use. So making sure that only the patterns are there. and just carefully removing all the excess film so you're left with the patterns and you have perfect pieces to grab to pull from when you're going to go install. So we're going to go ahead and do some kind of jigsaw here or whatever, and pull out all the excess film, and be left with a nice perfectly plotted piece of film that has all the patterns that we need. So once the patterns are all plotted and weeded out, what I like to do is basically cut them into sections of how I'm going to use them. So, I'll cut a section of maybe the driver door or the passenger door, and split them into kind of each panel that I'm going to do, and then kind of roll them up real nice and tight so that the film doesn't get messed up over the next couple days that they may be sitting in somewhere waiting for you to install them. And then I label them as driver fender, passenger fender, and then I can just grab them as I go through the car, and you just kind of stay organized that way, and know exactly which pieces you still need to do, and exactly what they are and where they are when you need them. So having them in a nice kind of roll labeled is just a really nice organized process as you go through the car laying the film. We walked you guys through the whole process that we used to prep not only the 720S, but also get our paint protection film prepped, plotted. Again, this episode was all about laying the foundation, getting those prep steps right, so that when we go into our paint protection film installation and do our deep dive into that in the next episode, that we have a great foundation for that. So make sure you guys are on the lookout for that episode coming soon. We're gonna just really deep dive into the paint protection film. That's gonna be a really fun video. That's where I'm just gonna be in my element, because that is what I've done for many, many years, is just throwing on some headphones and just slapping some plastic on a car. And my OCD just runs wild with that, and making sure that every edge and every detail is perfect with the film installation. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and have some fun detailing.